2. Well, hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
Halle.
Halle, I'm Taylor. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So today, I just want to ask you a few questions about some of your experiences with your family, if that's okay?
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, would you like to tell me a story that you had that has revolved around your family or been a meaningful or important experience regarding your family? Sure.
Okay, so it was this past summer, and so I have a twin brother, and he has had some issues with drinking and drugs in the past, and I knew that he was struggling a lot, but I was working at a camp all summer, so I was away from home, and I didn't see my family on a regular basis. And so, I didn't suspect anything, but one morning, it was a Sunday morning, I woke up and my mom called me, and her voice was so low and just so full of this sad and almost disappointed emotion, and I thought someone had died. Honestly, I thought that something terrible had happened, and so I was kind of bracing myself. And then she told me that my brother had made some very bad decisions, and that he was in jail. And initially, I was furious. I was so upset that he had disobeyed my parents after all that they have done for us, and I was scared of just where his life was going and also what kind of decisions he was making and how they were affecting our family and himself and just, the trajectory of his life. And so I was screaming on the phone and very, very upset. And then my mom was also very upset, and we were kind of crying together and trying to process what had happened. And I first kind of asked where he was, what he had been doing, and so he had decided that him and one of his high school friends were going to go up to a college town, and where apparently one of his friends goes to school, and it was his 21st birthday, his friend, and that they were just going to get smashed, absolutely hammered. And so they went from bar to bar, drinking as much as they could, and then they were walking, it was on the main street in this town, and my brother decided, hey, this would be a good time to pee. And so he was peeing, and the cop saw this and pulled him over, and he had marijuana on him, and he was very, very intoxicated, and he was peeing in public. So he had 3 charges against him, and he was going to be in the jail for the rest of the day until my parents could bail him out. And my parents said that they had gotten a call that morning, and my brother was sobbing and just so remorseful for what he had done. And so my parents drove up and bailed him out, and his other buddy was there too, because they were both very intoxicated and had drugs on them. So after my mom told me this, I was kind of processing it, and it was just a very overwhelming experience because I was away from my family, and I couldn't really deal with it because I had to work and had to have this facade of just being kind of with it and together. And so it was a struggle, but my brother kind of realized he had hit rock bottom, and then my parents kind of talked with him and just said, hey, this is not acceptable, and I think my brother knew that it was not okay to be doing. So he got a pretty good sentence, and I think the hardest part was that my brother's girlfriend, her graduation party was the day that he was in jail, and so my brother didn't get to go and support her. And I called my mom later that afternoon, and my mom was at his girlfriend's house trying to do everything she could to help her get ready for the party because that was Logan's job. And so my mom was just just very, very disappointed. And so that was a experience from this past year.
Yeah. So you just gave me a lot of information. I guess I have a few questions. So can you tell me a little bit more about how your brother felt, after what had happened?
Well, I mean, I think he had this fascination with drugs and alcohol before, and I think that he kind of just saw this lifestyle as something that it was almost like on a pedestal, like, oh, the social media tells us this is what the celebrities are doing, this is what cool kids are doing to drink and smoke a lot. And so I think afterwards he realized this is I've had it on this pedestal for the past 4 years, and I need to remember that this is really affecting my life. And part of the problem also was he was diagnosed with depression just about a month beforehand, and so he's on depression medicine. He was drinking a lot, and he was smoking a lot, and so that is not a good combination. And so I think afterwards he kind of got a reality check and was like, this is my life. I need to be taking care of myself. And so I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you said that you had, amidst all this, you had to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what that was like, having had this really difficult situation that you said, and then having to go on work? And you said you worked at a camp?
Yeah.
So is that a summer camp with kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what was it like to then have to go interact with all these young children?
Yeah, so, I mean, it was very difficult. It was only about halfway through the summer, so I had the last half to, kind of deal with this by myself. And so, I couldn't let that affect who I came across to as for the kids. I couldn't, I had to put on this face that, I have this together, I am here to create a good space for them. And so, I mean, it was difficult. I didn't get to process or really deal with my emotions for the rest of the summer because I was just there's kids around all the time. And so, I mean, it was difficult, but at the same time, I had a great support system around me who did listen to me and helped me understand that it wasn't my issue to deal with, that it was my brother's, and that I couldn't do anything about it after this point. And so and then I think the hardest part was my brother came to visit later, and I just saw him in a different light. I mean, saw him almost as this criminal or just someone who really is just in desperate need of help. And so,
you said it kind of changed your view of your brother. Would you say that is still kind of how you view him, or has it kind of been restored to what it was before?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it impacts how I think about him because I just know his tendencies, and I know that he, as much as I think he did learn a lot from this lesson, I have a very good feeling that he still kind of resorts to, if he's depressed, he's going to go smoke or he's going to go drink just to kind of suppress his feelings inside and maybe what he's thinking. And so, I think that it still impacts how I think about him, but I kind of had admired him to an extent. He's really smart, and so now I see that his brilliance is kind of taking over how he thinks about things. And so while he could use his gifts as being for the goodness of humanity, or he's kind of turning to alcohol or drugs. And so it's like I don't admire him nearly as much, and I feel almost like I feel sad for him. Like I wish he didn't feel like this.
Huh. Yeah. Well, it sounds like this this scenario or this experience has had a lot of impact on you. What would you say is one of the greatest impacts it's had on you, or what is maybe one of the greatest learnings you've had from this experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say one is that, you know, I'd never want to be in jail. And another one is that we all have the choice to make decisions every day, and I think that even though this was a bad decision, it doesn't define him. And so I think that for myself as well, like, you know, I want to strive to be the best person I can be, but sometimes we fall short. And so, yeah. So yeah, that's a good learning, and I've learned also that a family can get through that.
Mm-hmm.
Family can get through anything. So.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you would like to share?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, Halle, it was nice to meet you again. My name is Taylor. I thank you for expressing some of your experience with me. I admire you for pushing through this and seeing this as an experience that you can learn something from. And I hope that your relationship with your brother only continues to get better. So thanks for sharing.
Thanks.